It's already the fourth Tuesday of July. Take that for what it's worth. But it does mean that Real Estate Remix is on these very airwaves in studios. Poonam and Aruna, welcome back, ladies. How we been?
Good. Very good.
I am awesome. I just came back from a trip.
Yeah. And it sounds like a very pleasant trip. But we're glad to have you guys back in the studio.
Thank you.
We've already got questions waiting for you. Derek Hansen's filling in behind the board. I'm going to rely on him, too, because he's actually going through the process of buying. But first, I'll get to the listeners' questions in here at 35270. If you have a question about buying or selling, now's your chance to get some real estate advice from Poonam and Aruna. This one goes, real estate ladies.
Okay.
It's very formal. Have you encountered a situation where the cost of homeowners insurance has become a deal breaker when buying and selling properties?
Well, good question. First of all, I'm asking, when you got a quote or a fee sheet from your lender, how much did they took as a rough estimate for your insurance? I would say a good rule will be, imagine roughly 0.5% to 0.7% of the home value. So if your home is worth $500,000, your insurance would be somewhere between $2,500 to $3,500. Some of the things that affect your insurance prices is the age of the roof. Like nowadays, like especially if your roof is older than 10 years old, that could change. But having it as a deal breaker, I haven't had this happen. But if your lender had unrealistic expectations, or like if you're buying a home for $500,000 and they only put an insurance quote for $1,500 and now it is $4,000, that's $2,500 off. That's about $200 more in your monthly payment. That could throw people off. Other thing could be, was it including flood insurance? Maybe they didn't know it requires flood insurance. So no, I haven't had that issue, but it could happen if there's a mistake there.
The home insurance industry is something that people have been talking about, and you brought up the roof changes as far as what they're. I know when I talked to my insurance agent, he wasn't excited to have that phone call conversation about what those changes are going to be, and it's outside of their hands of what they can do. But they're in a bind, and I know it's on people's minds of, okay, well, now we're going to have to probably be paying a little bit more on the homeowner's insurance here. But as far as deal breaker, you said no, it's never been a case.
No, it's never happened with us. That's why, it's good to have your real estate team, your real estate buddy by your side. So make sure when you're buying or selling, make sure you convey the messages like everything is upfront.
And I know in this area, the flood insurance is a topic of conversation. Dang near any time you're doing the buying or selling, saying, okay, well, are we in that floodplain or not?
I know. I have a out-of-state investor who's been, who I had a phone call yesterday for over an hour long, same thing. And it was hard to explain to him, like, a major part of the Fargo is in floodplain, 100 years or 500. That does not mean we're under the risk. So it was a lot of education going into it. And finally I was able to explain. So yeah, it's good to understand that side than not understand.
Well, and I know I'm not talking insurance with you two, but when it comes to flood insurance or water, damage, that's not all encompassed underneath just the same policy. There's all these different things that if your sump pump goes out, it's a little different than, say, a flood insurance thing.
Absolutely. And, many people don't even understand this. Even sump pump coverage is mostly included in your homeowner policy, especially if you are the primary resident of the home. But sometimes it might be just $10,000 worth of a coverage. So, like the way we shop for car insurance, please become more aware of these items. Talk to your insurance agent and ask, what's my roof coverage? Is it going to be a brand new roof, or is it just going to be a part of the roof that's gone bad and so it's not matching? So same thing with, if my home floods or some pump breaks down, I would need more than $10,000. So I have $25,000 coverage, and it's only costing me I think $23 more if I remember correctly. So please ask these questions.
Yeah. Having those questions ready, and then not waiting to get them answered is, I think, one of the lessons in the home buying process that I've learned a few times now that I've gone through that. 35270 is where I read that message. You can join the conversation through those means. Thanks, Adventure RV. I want to talk about the first-time home buyers, and I guess I don't know if that's appropriate to be asking Derek Hansen to join in, but there are.
It is.
Okay.
Yeah.
But, there's a generation right now that wants to be homeowners affordability is one thing. The inventory is another thing that has changed, I think, probably what the affordability is. What tips do you have for those first-time or young home owners or home buyers, I guess is how I should put it, that are trying to get into being a homeowner, but, well, there's barriers to it?
Mm-hmm.
I would highly recommend the first thing to not go on Google and read what's exactly happening nationwide. Mm-hmm. Try to focus our local market.
And, stop window shopping like you do on Tinder. Swipe left, right. Yeah, please. Yeah, because that's what younger generation does, right? So change the attitude when it comes to buying a home.
Right. So make sure talk to the local people. For first-time home buyers, that's the first thing we hear. Oh my gosh, interest rates are so high. This is so high. That is so high. And I'm like, it's happening nationwide. It doesn't mean it's happening in our Fargo-Moorhead area as well compared to other big cities.
Yeah, and time is now. Like imagine you're planning a wedding. Not all the weddings are going to have the same budget, same venue, same everything. So if you feel you're ready and you are pre-approved or wanting to get pre-approved, follow the right steps. Have your free real estate buddy, like, your realtor and lender, and communicate with them and get a checklist done and see what works for you, work on your budget, and then shop for it and, make some smart choices.
Yeah, you do that window shopping. Yeah, I mean, you go on the online spots where I don't need to throw them any credibility right now, but we all know what spots you go if you're trying to, see areas or homes in your area. And if you don't have that price point, you're probably shopping outside of the means of what you're going to be approved for.
Absolutely. And, stop looking at, I'm not saying don't look at online resources like Zillow and stuff where there's you can put your home value there. It would give you a calculator of what the payments are going to be. That's not accurate. That's just, you don't even know what accurate property taxes are. So have realistic expectation. You're not going to be able to buy a Louis Vuitton handbag if your budget is for Michael Kors, or even...
I knew one of those two brands, and it was the more expensive one.
And actually, my sister just used the handbag example. I normally say, you have a taste of champagne, but we want to buy champagne for the beer pricing or something like that. You know what I mean? So, like...
you have to use that example a whole lot, have you, Aruna?
No, I haven't. I'm like trying to put the thing together right now.
But
one thing I want to... Because remember, we were just talking about the insurance thing. Yeah. Something just came in my mind right now. So my buyers have been telling me, whenever we talk about the insurance quotes, they're like, oh yeah, I'm just going to call my guy who is doing my cars. So I still say, fine, just go with your car buddy also to run the quote, but please compare and do one more quote as well and compare apple to apple, because there's a lot of insurance agents out there. So compare apple to make sure that you're getting heck of the deal when you're combining everything, just instead of like going with one person quote only.
Yeah. Sometimes I claim that it's good to know a guy or a gal.
Exactly.
And there's times where because of where they're working, they might not be able to have that best rate for you.
Exactly. So shop around, compare at least 2 or 3 insurance agents, and then see what's the best bid for you can get.
Yeah, I would say stop stalking Zillow like you stalk your ex's Instagram. Some of the steps I would say is get pre-approved, do your homework, make your budget, don't skip the inspection, and be willing to ask questions and take help from the especially you got free real estate buddies. I mean, a lender don't charge you nothing, a realtor at this time is not going to charge you nothing. So please take advantage of that.
Well, and Aruna, you had mentioned, don't just go headline surfing on Google, because, I mean, when you're looking at that, as I have done a couple of times, just to see what kind of trends are, what's happening in Florida is not happening in Fargo. When it comes to home prices, when it comes to the trends of, boomers are moving out, that means all these young kids are going to be able to move in. That's not necessarily happening here.
No. You know how many times we have seen a lot of our college students are graduate and they just want to go. And guess what? In few years, they come back. Because then they're comparing apple to apple, how expensive the life is when you go out of North Dakota and try to live.
I love it here, yeah.
Yeah.
Believe me, I moved here from England and I know why.
Yeah. Friendly and affordable. It's a couple of the things we got going for us here.
Exactly.
In studios, Poonam and Aruna, if you got a comment or a question, 35270 is the Adventure RV text club. You send those in and I'll ask them when we come back here on KFGO. Mix On Afternoons Live, Poonam and Aruna are in studio. We're here for your questions, and we're talking about, that first-time home buyer. And I was relaying off air, and I want to bring it on air, because I'm sure there's some people that are listening, because we have actually a rather young listening audience, of that fear that, hey, look, if I reach out to somebody or if I go and get pre-approved, okay, at some point I'm going to have to pay something. Or that they're going to be aggressive in trying to make sure I finish this buy or whatever it might be. I think that fear of that process of, the unknown is what prevents people from really taking the leap in this.
I agree, and that can be possible. So, first of all, get off your couch and stop scrolling Zillow. Please do, because I have this difficulty with younger buyers where they'll come and meet me and they've seen so many listings online. When I tell them to have a pre-approval appointment, they just get nervous and don't come back, and they're still sending me listings. You know what? I can show you a home, but a budget is not a suggestion. A budget is firm, concrete. You should focus on that. What's the point of me showing you a home that's $75,000 more than your budget, or you even can afford? Maybe you're approved, but budget doesn't allow. It's like dating someone who doesn't like your dog and who lives 600 miles far from you. So yes, pre-approval can be a little bit like, oh my God, it's getting real, but get real. You don't have to pay nothing. Sometime, believe me, you might get shocked listening to this. People sometimes don't even know that they have stuff on their credit report that they were aware of. Mm-hmm. It's not even their stuff that somebody has done it or there's been falsely reported to their credit report. So when you go through the pre-approval process, a good lender would sit down with you, talk to you, before they pull your credit report, because pulling a credit report from 3 credit bureaus is part of the the process. Like your credit has to be 580 or more, and different type of loans available. Then they look at your income to debt ratio. Then they also might help you with budgeting. If you have a motorcycle with a payment of $550 a month. You have a car that's $700 a month, and you're bringing $60,000, and you have a couple of other toys. Mm-hmm. So you might not qualify for a home that you desire, but you could afford. So, just that preliminary meeting with your lender and realtor and going through that, if you get a pre-approved, that's generally valid for 3 months. You're not paying nothing at this point. Yeah. You don't pay actually nothing until you the day you close your home. I mean, of course, there's earnest money. We have talked about it. Yep. But that's the day you bring that whatever lender has told you to bring, the cash to close. And your first payment starts not the next month, as the following month. So really, don't get afraid of paying. Ask questions. That's, I think, in North Dakota Nights, or most of us Americans, we are so shy about asking questions. Where I'm thick-skinned where I was born. We were like bargaining in the streets with the street vendors. So please do. It's your hard-earned money. Yeah. So ask questions.
And I think not only ask questions, but be upfront where you're at in the process.
Yeah.
I think that was when my process was pretty easy, because I said, I'm in no rush. And more or less saying, don't push me, because I'm very picky about where I'm at. I'm fine with my commute or everything. I want to move to Fargo, and just giving you ideas. And, he's very cool with that. He's like, yeah, I don't call me, I'll call you type of situation.
Right.
Awesome. Transparency is really important. Yep. And I'm glad that, first of all, if you come see me, I'm going to be listening to you anyway. So, please talk to them and set boundaries. Yeah. It's your home. It's your decision.
Your money.
Yeah, you're hiring the real estate buddy or a lender. We are all in it together, but it's your final decision. So create boundaries. If there's a realtor or lender, which I don't think in our area we will meet many who are pushy, or if somebody's being pushy, you can clearly say, hey, this is not working out, or this is not how I want to. I am 8 months. Like I have 8 months from now or whatever. Set boundaries.
Sure.
Transparency. Don't get bullied is the wrong word, but don't get pressurized into buying
but at
anything.
Times it feels like that, okay, if you showed a little bit of interest in a home or a property, whatever, an area, if somebody gets wind of it, that somebody's like, okay, well, we got a live one here. Let's hook them in. Let's reel them in here. Oh. And I think there's a fear that, okay, if I even show interest, I'm not going to be able to walk away from this thing. I'm not going to be left alone until I finish this thing, is a fear.
And, I come from a culture where family matters a lot. If you are in your like 20s and you haven't seen, don't get me wrong, and you haven't had experience about,
real life
that much or transactions, ask your parents, ask support system, they could help you too. And please, it doesn't hurt to change the realtor or lender if they're not working according to your set boundaries.
It's part of the business. I got comments and questions coming in at 35270. Options being sent in during Real Estate Remix here on Afternoons Live. Poonam and Aruna are in studio. And ladies, I got this question for you. Aruna, I'll throw this your way. How can a buyer be certain they are getting the best representation in a dual agency transaction? First off, let's start off with what dual agency transaction is for those that don't know.
Absolutely. And first thing I want to say thank you to the whoever person sent this question, because it's a very, very good question in real estate industry. What is dual agency? What is dual agency? You know what I mean? So it means one agent represents both the buyer and the seller in the same transaction. Sounds efficient, but it's tricky because the agent can't fully advocate for either side, and they can't share negotiation secrets or offer full advice because now they have duties for both parties, buyers and sellers. Everyone gets limited representation when the agent is dual, and of course, more paperwork for the agent as well. Actually, it's legal in some states, and it's not allowed in some states to go over the dual agency with the same agent. But North Dakota and Minnesota, yes, it is. It is legal. Yes, one agent can represent both parties. So, as I said, it is tricky because you're working with one agent and taking care of, like, one agent is taking care of, like, both buyers and sellers' best interest. So it's my sister Poonam's advice, like, if there is a conflict of interest, make sure, talk to the agent up front, ask questions, know your rights.
So yes, because you need to work with the realtor who puts your interest first. Dual agency is not uncommon. It happens.
I was going to ask how common it is.
It happens rare. Like, let's say you're working with a realtor for months and, you end up liking their listing or their company listing. I mean, I'm not going to fire that realtor. They have worked hard for you. But as long as they have conveyed the full terms and disclosed everything and everything is in writing and you understand where their limitations are, by all means, make sure your interest is the first interest for the realtors.
So it's been a few years since I've gone through this buying and selling. I was selling a previous home, moving into a new one. I don't remember ever looking to see who the seller's agent was. So let's say in this situation, does the agent have to disclose, hey, you might not know this, but I also represent the seller? Like, because we talk about it's legal in North Dakota and Minnesota. Does it have to be disclosed?
It does. And, you are, so yeah, we get both type of consumers. You are on one side didn't know if they're seller's agent, but there is a myth. Many people or many buyers we meet, the myth is if I go with seller's agent, I'll get a better deal. Hell no. I mean, yeah, if you're working with somebody already, then go with them. Don't fire them. It's like, would you ask a wedding planner to plan a wedding for you and your ex on the same day in the same venue? No.
Do you hear that?
That's an interesting concept there.
So, sometimes when Poonam brings this Tinder and this X and all this, she really reminds me that real estate agents are not just the real estate agents. They are basically multi-purpose.
They're matchmakers.
They're matchmakers.
We have a dating game going on here. Yeah.
With babysitters, matchmakers, counselors, social workers.
Yeah. So we do everything. Yeah, yes. Yeah, my sister had done quite a few babysitting for our clients when they're doing moving in and out or whatever, and they didn't have a babysitter for that day.
Did you get a fee at least?
Hell no.
Negotiate that.
Yeah, the kid vomit on me. That was my fee.
But guess what? The baby likes Auntie Poonam.
Yeah, because the vomit was on me. Okay. And that was my new dress as well. Okay.
As long as the check's clear.
Oh, yeah.
To this dual action or dual agency transaction, there was also another thing that was it a lawsuit or a settlement? I don't quite recall, where there were some people that would text in every now and then. with the change in commission, the way it was being done, because of the disclosure, some people are like, why do I even need to use an agent right now? That I could get a better deal because then I don't have to pay a commission fee.
Oh, in North Dakota, by the grace of the God, we are still like old school and we're still following the same trend. The commission is coming from the sellers to the buyer's agent and to the seller's agent. But the good thing with these new rules and regulations and the new paperwork, everything again, it used to be upfront long like before too, but now everything is part of the documents. Everything is right in front of buyers and sellers' eyes. And now sellers are deciding. Not the agent is deciding how much I'm going to split my commission with the buyer's agent. Now the ball is in our seller's court, and sellers are getting basically opportunity to figure out how much they want to pay to the buyer's agent.
And the question you said that some people are thinking that they shouldn't be hiring the agent and just doing it themselves. Women out there, you guys would understand if you're in age 40, like I'm in my 40s, you get a, please, it's a nasty joke, but you get a UTI, BV, yeast infection. You get over-the-counter medication for whatever, but you need a doctor to do the right testing, give you the right medication. Realtors are like that. Now you'll remember why to hire a professional.
That one's going to stick.
That is the greatest analogy in the history of afternoon
nailed it.
Yeah.
You were blushing over there.
She nailed it.
A comment comes in as we're talking about agents, because we've talked about, firing agents. I'll throw this out and get your reaction. Buyer representation contracts make it difficult to, quote, fire an agent if you don't feel they're doing their job. Any reaction to that?
Well, here's the thing. As if you're working with somebody and you really think you're not being heard and the agent is not doing like basically what they promised you in their first meeting. I'll show you houses. I'll do all the
They don't have your best
interest. That's the right way to say. They don't have your best interest and you think you're not being heard in this transaction.
They're being pushy.
They're being pushy, or they're not answering your phone calls, or like they're making you wait for God's sake for three days for just one question being like for answer. Yes, absolutely. You can tell goodbye to that realtor. You are not stuck. You can't force anybody to work with anybody.
Yeah, and same thing. Can you change your primary doctor? Absolutely, and I did. I met this doctor who was who was in her early 20s, and no disrespect, but she was wearing a pink sparkly dress, pink feather pen, and whatever I was telling her, she wasn't even listening. She was just, and I'm like, you know what? That's it. You get the vibe. You know if it's working in your best interest, if it's a good fit. That's why before even signing that buyer agency, have a one-on-one conversation with them. Ask questions, and especially in agency as well. Some companies are charging you some transaction fees, some don't. So please ask questions. Don't be North Dakota shy. I would say
North Dakota nice. We say North Dakota nice.
Now I say shy here.
Yeah, right.
Because it's true.
It's true.
It comes off as being nice because we don't ask any questions.
Exactly.
Because we're too shy to do it.
And sometimes it gets very complicated, especially if you're real estate agent, for God's sake, your auntie's son, or maybe your neighbor's daughter. So you just get so scared, like, oh my gosh, it looks like she's not working on my best interest. But now she's, for God's sake, my neighbor's daughter. I can't even say anything to her.
It's going to ruin your relationship. So go with a professional. Don't look for
So back to that, yes, there is a cancellation form. So if you're not happy with your realtor, yes, it's called cancellation of buyer's exclusive representation. Yes,
you both have to mutually agree to that.
Agreed and sign that paper. Yep. Mm-hmm.
We'll get you a weather update from Too Tall Tom Schmancy. We'll come back and wrap up our conversation with Poonam and Aruna right after this on KFGO. 5 minutes left with Poonam and Aruna here on Afternoons Live. And there's a question that I've had people ask before when they're thinking about selling. And I know we want to get into selling probably next month. But when you're in that moment, we're like, okay, yep, I've lived in this house for 10 years. It's a competitive market. I want to have something stand out. I got to do something. I've got to insulate the garage. I've got to paint the cupboards. I got to do whatever. Some people go well above and beyond what they're not going to get in return. What are some easy things that people should consider, or if they even need to do anything at all. Some people might not need to, but they feel like they gotta.
Right, which I don't blame them because we are living in those homes 10 plus years. We literally started with one couch and one bed in this home, but now over the 10 years, for God's sake, each and every drawer is full, each and every linen closet is full. So I don't blame them thinking that, oh yeah, we need to do some things to make our house look presentable. So being an agent, my advice, the first thing, do not put a lot of money on any of the upgrades without discussing with the real estate agent. Because what they think might not be a good one for the selling the house. Like if I'm thinking, replace all the doors or putting a new trim, like the thicker trim instead of like a normal trim. Can I get that money back? No, I cannot. So it's good to do a teamwork with your realtor when you're thinking to list it, and sit with the realtor, invite the realtor at your home, do the teamwork, make the wants and needs, and like the list needs to be like done first and priority list.
I'll say if you really want to remember in like a simple word, engage all 5 senses with a smile. Like sight, does it look clean? Declutter. Right. That's what we focus a lot on. Imagine your mother-in-law is coming. How are you going to impress her? Smell.
I don't have enough time for that in this process.
Not anymore,
I'm
yeah.
kidding.
Smell. Make sure you smell fresh, not like a fish. Aruna has a joke which happened she advised to one of our clients. What happened, Aruna?
I was showing a house and I opened the door because there was like candles everywhere, and there was like those scent incense, like the one we do prayers with and all that. My buyer was in and out. They thought that was a haunted house. So yeah, and they were doing some spirits or something in that
trying
home.
to freshen up this place.
Exactly. So do normal things. Don't go over the board, because sometimes those things can actually put really bad impact on our
smell
homes.
fresh, not fish, which means don't fresh, not like that much that is just
exactly
overwhelming. Then the sight, smell, sound. Sometimes you go there and people leave the loud TV, or your neighbors are loud. Like pay attention to all that and try to
But tell the neighbors to shut up for an hour. Yeah.
You can,
good luck.
Yeah. Touch, make sure it's not sticky. Like I've seen sometimes kitchen counters are sticky. It's just the feel you want to give to the buyer.
Yeah.
These are minor thing, and the taste. Sometimes it's cookies work. Leave something sweet or nice or even cookie smell is good. I would say basic cleaning. Get rid of your photos, personal stuff. Paint touch-ups, if you have stains on your flooring and stuff, first work on that before you look into anything like top dollar.
Do the remodel. That might not even be necessary to get this thing sold.
Don't cook broccoli is what you're saying right before.
And don't
not in the
cook fish
microwave
or
for
chicken.
sure.
Nope.
No.
Ladies, if they want to get a hold of you before we get a chance to visit again next month, Poonam, how do they get a hold of you?
You want your hotline number?
Oh, yeah. My number is 701-552-2937. And one advice I'll give it to you sellers out there. You're not just selling a house, you're selling a feeling. So let those senses, create those 5 senses so people fall in love with your home.
Very good. Aruna, how do people get a hold of you?
So my number is 701-552-1706.
This is a fast hour, ladies. Want to do this again next month?
Yes,
absolutely.
Okay, we'll have you back. That's Poonam and Aruna, again, Real Estate Remix, every 4th Tuesday of the month, which is already here in July. And we'll do this all over again on the 4th Tuesday of August.